What is subnet mask? This all starts with IP address, IP addressing scheme, Internet Protocol version 4 and version 6. So subnet mask is that number. This is also a 32-bit number that distinguishes. So this is the whole IP address. So this subnet mask distinguishes between the network address and the host address, that is, which is the computing system or computer you are talking about. So subnet mask, it breaks or divides the IP address into network bits and host bit. So this is also a 32-bit number as IP address, and it is to identify the subnet of an IP address. What does it mean? See, there can be multiple networks. A network can have subnets. So what is the network and what is the subnet you are talking about? This is given by the subnet mask. So this is a 32-bit number, a combination of ones and zeros. All the ones, if you start from left, this is representing the network. That is the network part of the IP address. And the zeros part, this all 1 to 1 is the network. And the second part is the host. All the zeros remaining is the host ID, actual computer, actual computing system in that network. So this is your subnet mask. Now we have in classful addressing scheme, class A, class B, class C, class D, class E. So this is defined by the IP address, the first bit from the left, first octet to be more precise, the different bits, if they are reserved, that defines a particular class. So depending upon this also, the subnet mask is also created. For example, the natural or default subnet mask of A, B, C, because D is used for multicasting, it has no subnet mask. E is used for experimental address, it doesn't have any subnet mask. So class A 255.0.0.0, this is a class A subnet mask. So the first octet is signifying that the first octet is for network, others are for the host ID. For example, the class A 1 to 127. 127 we don't use because it is blue back. So 1 to 126, that means this is the IP address of class A, and there is a proper subnet mask which is 255.0.0.0. So when you have any IP address, say for class A, then if you want to find out what is the network address and what is the host ID, then you just have to add the IP with the subnet mask. The subnet mask, first part in class A is the network and the other 3 octets defines the host. Similarly, class B, the natural or you can say default is 255.255.0.0. Class C is 255.255.255.0. So all this which I am rounding, these are actually telling that this is the network. In order to understand subnet mask, we have James and Helen. They are friends. Now James writes a letter to his friend who is Helen. Now he is sending the letter. Now what he does is, he doesn't send the letter directly to the residence of Helen. And Helen is working in an organization. So James sends this letter to Helen's office. He is not sending it to her residence. Now this is a big organization. So Helen's place of employment is a very big enterprise. It has several departments. Now when the letter reaches the office, the administrative team at Helen's office, it starts sorting it, by department. Once the James letter is received, the team, it identifies or indicates that Helen works in the HR department. This letter is actually for Helen, who is working in the HR department. So as a consequence, the letter is sent to which department? HR department. Not to Helen, but to HR department. So this HR department is very important because all these organizations, all these subnets, one subnet, which is the HR department, is the subnet for Helen. Helen is the host. Okay. So this is the IP we want. So what did you understand? Helen is representing the IP address. The HR department is a subnet mask. So in order to that letter or that packet to reach to proper IP, we need a subnet mask which will define that this is the HR department, this is the finance department, this is the sales department. Okay. So human resource here is subnet mask, Helen is the IP address. We have an IP address. Now this is 192.168.123.132. If you convert it into binary, this is the form. Always the IP address is dotted decimal. Subnet mask is also dotted decimal. So this is a class C addressing. Class C, the default is 255.255.255.0. So this IP address and subnet mask, it gives you network address. How to find out the network address? Convert the dotted decimal into binary and just AND them. You have to just logical AND them. Wherever there is a 0, you will get a 0. Wherever you have 1, you will get a 1. Otherwise all zeros. So 1, 1, you get 1. So actually when we IP address and subnet mask are ANDed, the network part comes as it is. Other, that is the fourth octet in this case, becomes 0. So 192.168.123.0. So this part, the first part, 192.168.123.0, this is the network address. So how did we get the network address? By ANDing the IP address and the subnet mask. And how to get this host address? You can invert the subnet mask and you can OR it with the network address. That is how you get the host address. So these are the octets. The first 3 octet in this case is the network, and the next one, last octet, is the host. That is how the subnet mask defines what is the network address and the host address. So here in this case, the first 24 bits, that is number of ones, are network address. The last 8 bit are the host address. If you want to understand in the form of data packet, then we have an IP address. And this IP address absolutely falls into class C network. So IP address is divided into 2 parts, network and host address. So the network portion is represented by what? When we ANDed these two, what did we get? 192.168.123. In class C, the first 3 are for the network. Okay. So the network router deliver the packet to which network? 192.168.123. Now in this network we have another router. That router will go to the routing table. It will ask where to forward this packet further. How it is going to give it further? Here comes the subnet mask. So it will use the data packet subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0. It does some binary mathematics, which ANDing and ORing, which I just told you. It observes the device address is 132, and therefore it will calculate which subnet it should forward the data packet to. So that is how the network is 192.168.123 and the actual host is 132. So on determining the target subnet, it will send the packet to the router that is responsible for delivering data packets within that very subnet.